What would you do if the person you loved might be lying to you? This is the story of someone who thinks her boyfriend may be a thief, and what Nietzsche would say about it. I met him a little over a year ago. He was charming, quick-witted, always the loudest laugh in the room. He had this confidence that made you feel like you were in the presence of someone important, even if you couldn't quite say why. We met through mutual friends at a party, and we clicked almost immediately. Conversations turned into long nights into weekends together, and soon enough, we were a couple. At first, everything was beautiful. He always picked up the check, bought me little gifts, and spoke about the future with such passion, like we were building something big, something that mattered. But after a few months, I started noticing little things that didn't quite add up. One night I saw a message flash across his phone from someone asking about the drop. I asked him about it, and he laughed, saying it was just a dumb inside. A joke with a friend. I let it go. Then some cash went missing from my purse. I didn't want to believe it was him, so I told myself I must have spent it and forgotten. But the feeling stuck. He always had money, but never seemed to have a job. Whenever I asked about work, he gave vague answers. I've got things going on, or don't worry about it. I wanted to trust him, so I did, or at least I pretended to. But deep down, I kept thinking, what if he's not who I think he is? I felt like I was living in two realities. In one, he was the man I loved, the one who held my hand in the dark, who made me feel safe. In the other, he was a stranger who might be stealing, lying, and manipulating me, and I didn't know which version was real. I didn't know which one I wanted to be real more. I haven't confronted him, not directly. I'm scared of what I might find out, scared that the story I've built in my head, the story of us, is just that, a story, not the truth, and now I don't know what to do. To understand a moment like this, let's turn to a thinker who confronted the raw, uncomfortable truths of life. Friedrich Nietzsche. Nietzsche didn't believe in comforting lies. In fact, he saw lies, especially the ones we tell ourselves, as a form of weakness. He wrote, "Sometimes people don't want to hear the truth because they don't want their illusions destroyed." This speaks directly to the heart of this story. So, much of modern love is about illusion, who we hope someone is, rather than who they are. We fall in love with projections, with potential, with the fantasy of a perfect partner. But Nietzsche would urge us to ask, what if you dared to love with your eyes open? What if you had the courage to face the truth of who someone really is, even if it shatters the dream? Nietzsche also talked about the danger of becoming addicted to comfort. We choose emotional security over truth because it feels safer. But Nietzsche believed in living with intensity, with honesty, even if it hurts. To him, the pursuit of truth was not just a noble act. It was the act of a person who is becoming strong. He wrote extensively about the concept of becoming who you are. That doesn't just mean self-expression. It means confronting the lies that hold you back. It means tearing down illusions, even if they're beautiful, especially if they're beautiful, because only then can you live authentically. This story, the illusion might be love, or at least the idea of love. There's a version of him that's loving, caring, and generous, but there's also evidence, concrete and emotional, that he may be hiding something serious. Nietzsche would say, stop clinging to both versions. The truth is what matters. Not what makes you feel good, but what actually is. And how do you find that truth? You confront it. You look it in the face. Nietzsche wasn't sentimental. He wouldn't tell you to sit with your feelings until they pass. He would tell you to act, to dig into the discomfort, to ask the hard questions. Because until you do, you're not in love, you're in denial. There's a quote of his that goes, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." If your relationship has no honest foundation, then your why is built on sand. It doesn't matter how happy. The moments are if they're born from a lie. Nietzsche would push you to examine the why, and if it turns out to be false, to leave it behind with courage. Another idea Nietzsche explored is the will to power, not dominance over others, but the inner strength to shape your life with purpose. Right now you feel powerless, confused, afraid of knowing too much, but Nietzsche would say that power comes from knowing. Even if what you know breaks your heart, it also sets you free. The fear of losing someone often masks the deeper fear, losing the image of yourself that existed with them. But Nietzsche teaches that we must be willing to let parts of ourselves die in order to grow. If who you are in this relationship is someone small, scared, and uncertain, then maybe it's time to become someone else, someone stronger, someone who faces truth like a warrior, not a victim. There's also the famous line, "When you look long into an abyss, the abyss also looks into you." In moments of doubt and darkness, we risk losing ourselves in the very confusion we're trying to escape. But clarity comes not from turning away, but from going through it. You don't avoid the abyss, you stare into it until your eyes adjust. So what would Nietzsche advise you to do? He wouldn't give you a checklist. He wouldn't tell you to leave or stay. But he would demand that you stop lying to yourself, that you stop romanticizing someone who might be betraying you, that you wake up. He would say, don't be the kind of person who chooses ignorance for the sake of emotional convenience. Be the kind of person who tears down illusions, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts, because that pain is the first step toward real strength. You may never know the full truth, but you already know enough. You've seen the cracks, you've felt the anxiety, you've sensed the mismatch between who he says he is and what you see. That intuition, that discomfort, that is your truth trying to surface. Nietzsche would tell you, follow that, trust that, use it, let it sharpen you. If your boyfriend is truly innocent, then asking hard questions won't destroy the relationship. But if he's not, if there's something dark hiding behind the charm, then confronting it will set you free. Either way, you rise. In the end, Nietzsche believed that we should not just survive pain, but transform through it, that we must become the fire that forges our own strength, and that the most powerful kind of love is one that begins with truth. So, face it. Ask the questions. Don't look away. You don't need permission to protect your peace. You don't need certainty to trust your gut. You already know what you have to do. Now the only question is, will you have the courage to do it? If you have a story, a moment of doubt, or a question that keeps you up at night, write to us. Wisdom Lab is where real lives meet timeless minds, and somewhere in between we find the truth.